So it looks like Infowars is being shut down, and all I can say is it could not have happened to a nicer guy. I don't feel 1 ounce of sympathy for Alex Jones after he showed no sympathy whatsoever for the children of Sandy Hook and for defaming their parents. They sued him and won, rightfully so, and ever since then he's been ducking and dodging and trying to get out of paying it. First he said that he was going to file bankruptcy. That didn't work. And then he started saying that he wanted to sell the company because he wanted to work for someone else and let them run it because the place would be worthless without him. I say it's worthless with him. But that didn't work, and now it looks like they're coming for it and going to shut it down. And I know there's going to be a whole lot of people that's going to jump on this bandwagon if they're coming after his First Amendment rights. I'm going to argue that point later. But I just got to thinking about when I first ever discovered Alex Jones, when I very first heard of him for the first time. It was probably 20 years ago or more. I was reading an article in Rolling Stone, I believe it was, and I read an article about him and then knew who he was, and I would see videos of him talking, and he was this loud, over-the-top dude. And back then, he said some things, and I would say to myself, yeah, there might be some truth to some of that, but I just never latched onto it, and I never saw its appeal. And I never thought it would grow into what it grew into. I've been a musician for over 25 years, played a lot of places, met a whole lot of people. Over the years, I would see, an Infowars sticker on somebody's bumper somewhere, or I would see an Infowars sticker on a fellow musician's guitar case, and they would be into him, or whatever the case may be. And you would hear people, every now and then come up and say, hey, did you hear what Alex Jones was talking about? And the further he got into the conspiracy theories and the deeper he got in the weeds with all that, the more I just pulled away from it and stopped entertaining it. But I never thought it would catch on. I just thought it was something that random people, like this little underground of people, kind of believed in, but I never thought we would see it in the mainstream. And then along comes Donald Trump, and he is the cult of personality. And he starts pushing that rhetoric and pushing that bullshit. And actually, before Trump, it was Sarah Palin is one of the first people that I seen that started, referencing him, Alex Jones, in videos and things like that. And they're the ones that really pushed this into the mainstream. And I'm so surprised now to see people that I once had respect for and friends that just fell right down into that rabbit hole with Alex Jones and believing in some of those batshit stuff that you could ever believe in. It's truly disheartening, because it's one thing when it's just this fringe, unhinged group of society, but it's another when it's people that you love and respect, I'll just say that defaming the parents of children who lost their life in school, that's just the lowest of the low. You can't get any lower than that in my mind. There's nothing you could do that would go lower than that. That's not about freedom of speech, folks. That's not at all. And over the years, I would talk to people, and we'd be talking about different subjects, and then all of a sudden they would just come at me with these Sandy Hook conspiracies, and I would just see the respect level just drop, because I'm like, how could you really buy into that? I'm not saying that I've never entertained a conspiracy theory. I'm not saying that I didn't one time say, hey, who was on the grassy knoll, or did Oswald really get off 3 shots at one time? We've all had questions. We've all questioned things we've seen. But when you get into the stuff that Alex Jones got into, you get way over far in the weeds like he did. It's I can't go along with you. There's no way I can go for that ride with you. I just can't. I can't buy into it. And the problem that I have with the likes of Alex Jones more than anything else is that they create these boogeymen. They create these deep states. They create these straw men. They build up this fight for you to fight. And they tell you they're your vigilante. They're going to come and they're going to protect you. And they have information that only they know about. They've got the information that they don't want you to know. It's always this dreaded boogeyman named they. They are coming for you. They don't want you to know this. And from day one, Alex Jones has been saying, they're going to shut me down. They're going to come for me. They're going to try to get me. They're going to try to silence me. They're going to take away my First Amendment. He goes ahead, he puts that in place from day one so that when it happens, he can say, see there, I've been telling you this entire time. If more people would study cults, if more people would understand how people like Jim Jones and David Koresh and different ones were able to convince an entire group of people to sometimes lay down their own lives for them, if you would really study how they go about it, you would see that it's the same way that the likes of Alex Jones and Donald Trump get you to come along for the ride. They tell you that they're the ones that knows what no one else knows. Only they know it. And they're making you smarter by telling you about it. Now, you can go to work and tell your buddy what they didn't want you to know, and you can act like you're in on some sort of secret. And you can act like you're in on some kind of fight that's not even really happening. It's just something that they made up and cooked up in their own mind. And that was always my biggest, that's why I never could go along with him, because I'm like, I just can't see that you're the guy that's got all this info. I can't see that you're the dude that knows all of these things, and all of us are just idiots, and everything's rigged against you. I never could buy into it, folks. And the further he got away from reality, I'm not gonna roll with it. That's the kind of person I am. I'm just not going to roll with something if it goes against what I believe and goes against what I stand for. I've sat under ministers before, and they would start going outside the Bible and going off into a place that I didn't believe. And I would say, I'm getting up and walking out of here. I'm not going to sit here and entertain this. I don't want people to see my car parked out front. I don't want to be guilty by association at all. There's people that I've listened to, there's podcasters I've listened to, YouTubers I've listened to, politicians I've listened to, that, yeah, I liked them at first, I liked what they had to say, thought they were onto something. And then they start going over here into a place that I don't agree with. I'm not just going to roll with it. And I'm not going to think that it's some sort of conspiracy if I don't. I'm not going to sit here and act like that they know something I don't. I don't think that at all. I vote for politicians. I don't worship them. I don't have a Biden flag on my porch. I don't have a Biden sticker on my car. Never owned any Biden memorabilia at all. That's not what it is to me. I vote for politicians based on who I think can do the best job for the whole country, not just people that looks like me. And so that's why my entire life I've voted Democratic. I didn't always agree with everything that the Democrats said. I've had people say, well, you're a Democrat. No, I'm a progressive-minded, liberal-minded person who votes Democrat because they align more with my views. If there comes a day where they go off into some faraway land that I'm not a part of, I'm not going to just roll with it. I'm not going to be sitting here going, oh, well, I'm going to go along for the ride. I'm not going to do that because I know what I stand for and know what I believe. And I don't think that, I don't think there's some sort of conspiracy to get me and Joe Biden's my hero. I think Joe Biden is an effective president. He's doing a good job. I'm going to vote for him again. It's as simple as that. If he says something I disagree with, I can say I disagree with it. That's just the beauty of being a reasonable person. And so when I look at Alex Jones and the people that he was able to dupe, it's just sad to me. It's really sad that good people got duped into believing that stuff. And once you fall down into that well of believing in one conspiracy theory, you're just going to end up believing in all of them because suddenly now they've become like a brand unto themselves. And it's like if you believe in one, you have to believe in all. And I don't see how that makes sense to me either. And as far as people saying, well, but now hold on a minute, he should have a right to say whatever he wants to say. Listen, he does. He can say whatever he wants to say, and I'm sure Elon Musk will just have his arms open. Joe Rogan will have him back on again, and they'll all just give him a big hug and do a big circle jerk because they love the guy. But his free speech is not being trampled on at all. He's being held accountable for what he said. That's all there is to it. There is nowhere in the First Amendment that says you can go out and defame people and not pay the price for it. So when he comes at us with that rhetoric, just shut that down. He was not a rebel. He was not a renegade. He's no patriot. He's a loon. He's a loon. And if he'll survive. He'll go on. He'll find an audience. They'll go over there and watch him in that little corner and sit and shout at the screen. But I want no part of it. And I don't want to entertain anything he ever has to say. It was bad enough when it was just a random drunk at the bar quoting his stuff. But now that it's made it into the mainstream and reasonable people are buying it, or people I thought were reasonable anyway, when you see people like that buying it, it's just truly sad. So, yeah, I won't miss it. And wherever he goes, I won't be watching it because I wouldn't watch it to start with.